John Monteith. My book title is Rogue Fortress. I am from West Bloomfield, Michigan. My book is number 6 in an ongoing, it's a submarine adventure series called the Rogue Submarine series. The whole gist of the series is we have a band of mercenary submariners. They formed in a strange alliance in the first book where an international arms dealer recruited a disgruntled naval officer in America to steal a Trident missile submarine to sell the warheads to Taiwan. Well, they almost sold them. They almost finished, not quite. Skip ahead 5 books and we're in Rogue Fortress, and by now they've got one of their own submarines and they're about to steal another to boost their fleet. And the whole point is to use the one that they steal immediately in the defense of one of the Spratly Island landmasses that belongs to the Philippines to help set up a fortress, which is kind of a hunkered down bunker with its own armaments and defenses, basically to help the Philippines stake their claim on the landmass and push back China, which is basically the 800-pound gorilla that's taking over this oil-rich region, which is called the 4th largest oil reserves in the world. So basically it's a fight for oil, and it's also trying to protect the little guy against the big guy, which is what my mercenary band does.
What about your book did you feel like would make it unique, set it apart from the other stuff you'd read that were even close to this kind of thing?
I kind of backed into a very nice universe. With the first book, it was written it was an expression of whatever feelings I was feeling at the time, but it ended up helping me back into a gray area, where now I have a band of gray guys. They're not good, they're not bad, they're kind of in between. They started out with my hero being a traitor against his country. And in the second and even third book, he started working himself back into the good graces, working kind of first running from the CIA, then working with the CIA, and now they're kind of pseudo puppets of the CIA, pseudo vendors to the CIA, providing a service where you wouldn't necessarily send a U.S. submarine or any friendly nation submarine to do something because it might be a job that's too dangerous. It might be a job that's too dirty. In case you get caught, you don't want the political ramifications, such as basically going to war with China. So it's that fortunate gray area where I have guys that have no limits on what they can do except the resources at their hands. They're not bound by any rules. Nobody has to come home to some admiral and say, I served the admiral that served the president that served these people in a given nation. You can root for them, you can root against them. In the last couple of novels, they've even become vandals. And I think I'm in favor, and most people in the Western world will be in favor of the vandalism they're doing, but they're attacking sovereign nations because of their political moves, and they have that freedom to do so. Where that's kind of a unique area that I've been fortunate enough to have been. I can't take any claim to having consciously done it. I'll give myself credit for recognizing it and getting that recognition with some feedback from some friends saying like, you're on to something, go with it. And okay, so I got lucky that I'm there and I'm working it.
Was there anything in particular, an incident or something, an article you read, or what was the thing that kind of triggered your idea to pursue this as a story?
I have to go to the whole series again to answer. I was a naval officer, and I had a personal injury that made I had a orthopedic problem. I was in pain chronically, and since then it's been fixed with some cutting-edge surgery. But it was a painful time for me, and I was just angry. And I have to give credit to a petty officer who once told me a story of how he would take over the submarine, our submarine, the Trident missile submarine, and it was very credible and it was very easy. And I took that and I said, well, I want to express my pain in a way and try to make something positive out of it, and that's what I did with the first book. So after that, I said, well, let's go for redemption in the second book. So the second book was redemption. But after that, it's like, well, what next? And that's where it became this gray area band of mercenaries. Well, what do you do with a gray area band of mercenaries? You look on the globe where there's water and there's conflict. So basically what I do is I go to Wikipedia and I say, where is the conflict in the world that is interesting? And when it came to writing number 6, Rogue Fortress, I found the Spratly Islands, and I said, this is a wide open territory. This is a sort of a wild west of the world, and there's a lot of resources to be had here, and China gets it, they're going after it, and there's nobody stopping them. So there's a story here.
Other than this series, is this the first, is this your first attempt at writing books?
Yeah, I tried short stories as a starter back in, gosh, 95. Then I realized that was not a market to be in. Of course, then again, back in the mid-90s, if you weren't a A-list name, there was no market to be in, but the chances were better with a novel, so I said, what the heck, I'll try a novel. And I started writing Rogue Avenger, the first one, in 96-ish, and it only took me 9 years as I was learning how to write, and thank God, if I can tell one story worth telling, it's less than 1% of us, I'm just guessing, know how to write instinctively. You got to you can't reverse engineer it without help. You got to learn. So I took classes, I went to workshops, I got 2 mentors over that time frame until I taught myself how to write. So the first book in the series took me 9 years, and then the next 7 books took 9 years. So there's an efficiency there. And yeah, so this was my first attempt at writing was this series.
Gotcha. We all know that the reason you enter contests is because you want to win. But was there anything that triggered it? Was there, a person or an event or a thing that made you decide, yeah, that's what I'm going to want to do?
Jeff Edwards. I met Jeff about 11 years ago at another writing conference, and basically he is the reason I have a writing career. I probably would have given up. In fact, I tried to give up and I couldn't, and I kept writing into the 3rd book, and I had no hopes of making any sales other than maybe some hardcover vanity press thing. I was just writing so that I could have books to put in my hands and maybe a few close friends. And that's all it ever would have been, except for Jeff. Jeff Edwards taught me about Kindle. He taught me about how his imprint would work. He taught me about bringing a small group of authors together to support each other in our books. And then all of a sudden, wow, we get Kindle sales, Kindle reviews, and it's a hobby that pays. So that helps. You need that positive feedback, and I owe that all to Jeff. I even call him a mentor, and he is more on the business side than on the writing side. We're more, we help each other on the writing side, but on the, unfortunately, if you're going to be a writer, at some point either it's a labor of love or there's a financial side to it. You have to nurture, and that's where Jeff leads the way for me and a small merry band of his writing guys, and he's the one that told me about this contest. And the way I understand it is a lot of what he's done for me, the Clive Cussler Collector Society has done for him. So I wanted to meet kind of the source of his energy. Where did this all come from? Bringing it back to, okay, he taught me about this competition. I'm going to enter it, hope to win. But it's also a great networking opportunity, which is why I came to Colorado to meet people for the finals.
Any advice for other authors?
Boy, I could spew advice all day. It almost depends on the context. If you just want me to give you general first thoughts, it's make sure you're writing something you're proud of before you share it with somebody else. And that's number 1. And number 2, make sure you write something you're proud of before you share it with somebody else. And I'm saying that because when I shared my first manuscripts over 9 years of the first book, I look back and I'm disgusted in what I wrote because I didn't know. Well, everybody wants to put something they're proud of in front of other people, but you got to get feedback from people that know the craft of writing. Don't ask a friend who knows nothing about writing. Get some feedback from some real people to make sure that what you're putting out is quality stuff. And that's another reason I'm here. If I thought I was already writing 100%, I wouldn't be as interested in networking. There's always room for improvement. So I want to meet new people while I'm here at the award ceremony and get new colleagues in my network for, hey, will you read this story? I want you to give me feedback. Where am I strong? Where do I need work? And vice versa. Let's start giving each other the feedback to make each other better.
You're doing perfect. So that's the bar. You know what I mean? As long as you can say words after I say words, you're golden at that point.
Does it have to be English?
Well, all right. No,
I knew he was going to.
I knew he was going to break, and any minute he was going to make it hard.
All right.